Howdy, howdy, folks. It is Quinny back at you with another video. I hope you guys are having a great day because I sure am. A couple of days ago was my birthday. I'm another year older. I don't know how to feel about it, but hey, I mean, time doesn't stand still. So, but I did have a really great birthday. It was fun. Now to today's topic. This video will be about a new friend I made through my through one of the members of my group, the Harlots. It's one of Samuel's friends, but he's my friend now, and he's actually really cool. His name is Jace. Jace Chandlers. Uh, he is a Doberman. He comes from a family of Doberman. Uh, a broken family, but still a family. I thought it would be cool to, I guess you could say, make a video about him, to talk about, about his upbringing and such. I thought it would be fun. I got his blessing too, so I hope I do your story justice, bro. And yeah, let's get into this. So, Jace is from the neighborhood called Berdan. Think I talked a little bit about that in the TY video. But it's like I said in that video, Berdan is a, let's just say, it's a very safe-ish neighborhood. You know, not too violent, because there is a lot of people, like there's a lot of species that live there. It's very mixed species. It's not like Angels Park where it's the majority of residents is echidna. It's not like Gadberry where the majority of the residents are wolves. Babylon Heights, where the majority of residents are avians or birds. Like, it's very close knit. Everybody knows everybody. It's a neighborhood where everybody comes together, and they pretty much just just live in harmony. I mean, yeah, they have gangs there too. Like I said in my previous videos, there's the Rascals, or was the Rascals, and then there's also 59th Street, but they're not that bad. Like, they aren't as violent as the other gangs in the city. Plus, I remembered in the video about Rico, I also called that neighborhood pretty much the land of the 304s. If you know, you know. But anyway, yeah, he was born and raised in Berdan. He has two siblings. He has a younger sister named Jocelyn, and he has a baby brother named Jasper. And his mother, he was mostly raised by his mother. His mother's name is Jackie, or Jacqueline. And he told me that he never really knew his father. Like, he never met his father before. So you know, the hell of a dad thing, am I right? But anyway, like, he said that his upbringing wasn't as bad as a lot of people's is. Like, he was raised by his mother. He had a normal childhood until until his mom births his younger sister and his younger brother, and then that's when everything started to, like, you know go a little bit down for their family. Like, he told me that his mother would work odd jobs here and there to take care of the family, which is understandable. I mean, she would also jump from guy to guy. She would date this guy and then break up with him, and then 2 weeks later she would be dating this guy, and then she'd be dating this guy and this guy and this guy. Like, she would jump from man to man, mostly to look for somebody that could help her, live a more stable life. But nothing ever stuck with her. And he also told me that even when he was younger, before shit started happening with her, which I'll get to later, He told me that like his mother was like his mother usually would like be really unfaithful and would cheat on like and cheat on her partners. Like he told me this one story about this one guy that his mother met and she started dating him, and like he told me that this guy was honestly the only father figure that he really had. And she like loved him to death, you know and he even like did right by the kid, like right by Jace and his siblings as well. Like he would take them out to eat, he would take them out for school shopping. He would be an actual father figure. And then his mom basically ruined all of that. And to this day, he told me that he would never forgive his mother for that. Like, she literally cheated on him, like one of the best guys and one of the best. And he even told me that this guy worked he had a very good paying job as well. Like, he worked as a mechanic, and and he even owned his own garage, kind of like what Rico does. And he would bring in so much like he would bring in so much money. He would even give the kids money, he would give his mother money. It was so like it was so good. They were living good until she messed it up. And then afterwards like after that, like she would just get it, like times would get tough. She would get extremely frustrated. Like his mother would just abuse them. Let's just say that his mother would abuse not just him but everyone else as well. It was just really terrible for them. And like I just want you to understand, like, I never went through what he went through. Like, I've been through some shit, but what he went through was just crazy. So after a while, Jace would start to get in the streets. He would start to associate with neighborhood crews in Berdan. Like I said, he was a member of the Rascals. He joined the Rascals. And the thing about the Rascals is there was another member of that gang that he would become close friends with, and this was like at a young age. This was around the time where he was like, I want to say 14 or 15, and he met Ty. And Ty would get Ty and Jace would get close. They got close like brothers. And for what Jace told me, like when they got older, like I want to say around like 18 or 19, they even started to get romantically, like, I guess you could say they started to get romantically involved with each other. And the thing about that is that like I don't know. I guess you could say that he could have done so much better, but I mean, hey, it is what it is. Because he told me at the time he was also just like me at that age. He was also like exploring his sexuality, and like, he was having hookups here and there, and just trying to find himself. But anyway, pretty much they would pretty much just do normal gang stuff, standing on the blocks, selling stuff, if you know what that stuff is, and pretty much just doing stuff to bring money in. And the thing about this is that, like, and the thing about this too is that this was also around the time where Ty met, Ty met, he met Jace's mom, Jacqueline, and he would even, like, I guess you could say he would even form some type of friendship with her and stuff like that. And she honestly would let Jace basically just do whatever with Tito. And like after I remember also Jocelyn, his sister, telling me that like this was around the time where he started to take advantage of his mother, and he took a little bit of advantage of Jace as well. And it was not it was not great. It was not great. Like he would get busted a lot, he would get busted a lot. He would take the rap for a lot of stuff. He would pretty much like he would pretty much be the scapegoat for all of the problems of that group, because they like the Rascals is a bigger gang, but he also had his own little clique or crew in that gang that he like managed, and one of those people included Samuel. And Samuel was like one of the, I guess you could say, one of the normal people that like saw what was going on, and and then Samuel would start to get closer to Jace. He would try to he would try to convince Jace to not follow up with the nonsense that Tito was putting him through. But, Jace saw Tito as a brother, because, and that was because, Tito earned his mother's trust. So she saw Tito as like you could say that she saw Tito as another one of her kids, which in all honesty is very fucked up to think about, because of how messed up shit would get like later down the line for them. But yeah. And it was all good for the next couple of years until shit really hit the fan. So I want to say around the time that Jace was in his early 20s, if I can recall what he said. Basically, like, they were making a lot of money just, selling their stuff on the streets and stuff like that, and, doing whatever. There was this moment where, like, he was in a good position, I guess you could say. Like, he was making money. He was, he had good karma with, with his gang, including Tito. And at the time, he even told me that, like, he was even romantically, like, into a girl, like a female member of the gang and stuff like that. But one day, basically, Tito, Jace's girlfriend at the time, and some others were out of town doing something, and Jace was like the only one in. Jace and three other like people were in this stash house. I guess he was basically taking inventory of his stash house and whatnot. Basically, the feds pretty much kicked down the door and raided the stash house. Jace pretty much had to get out of there, because if he didn't get out of there, he basically would have just been, he would have been flatlined on the spot. But anyway, he ran out of the back door. The other three guys that were in there apparently tried to shoot at them, but all three of them got wasted. And he would pretty much try and get away, but he couldn't. He ran. He basically, like, the adrenaline was just going, like, he just had a whole adrenaline rush, and he would pretty much, he pretty much just gave up. He was basically surrounded by a bunch of feds, bunch of police officers, and he got arrested. And as he did before, he took the rap. He basically took the rap. He didn't tell on Tito, and he didn't tell on the rest of the gang. So, and he would basically take a 10-year sentence. He would take a 10-year sentence. While he was inside, while he was inside, Tito called. He would call Tito. Tito was like, "Don't worry, man. I'll take care of your mom. I'll take care of your family. Stuff like that. When you get out, I'm gonna welcome you home with open arms, welcome you home with some money, with this, that, and third, promises of him getting rich and stuff." And he agreed with him. And basically, he sat down for 3 years. He sat down for 3 years, and he got out on parole. while he was sitting down for those 3 years, Tito pretty much Tito pretty much just ruined his family. He got his mom addicted to all these types of drugs, and his mom he basically turned his mom into a junkie. Uh, he tried to get with his he tried to let's just say he tried to sleep with Jocelyn, and even his mother was pushing Jocelyn to sleep with Tito, and even become his girlfriend. But Jocelyn said, "Fuck that! I'm not doing that," and she basically hated her for it. And basically Tito took Jasper under his wing and pretty much treated him like he treated Jace, and he would end up going to prison as well. He would end up getting locked up, for possession and stuff. Jasper didn't speak because code of the streets and whatnot, and he would get locked up as well. And by the time that Jace got out of prison, the only person that was waiting for him was Samuel. Samuel picked him up. He picked him up from prison. He took him, he took him to get a fresh set of clothes, and then he basically said, "Fuck it, you could crash here for a while." And why? And then after that, at that point in time, Tito was nowhere to be found. He basically fled Berdan. We don't know, like, he didn't know where he went, and like he was just gone for years. He was pretty much gone for years, and he only came back to like do whatever with Jace's mom, which is just really fucked to think about. But he still had a real friend in Samuel, and Samuel helped him get back on his feet. And then after that, Jocelyn basically heard about her brother Jace getting out of prison, and she would look for him. Basically, she fled at her house because of how basically manipulative and also physically and emotionally abusive she was, and she left her house. And she ended up finding where he lived. And he even like Samuel even welcomed her into his house, which Samuel is nice as hell, right? He is friendly as fuck. He's better than me because I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna sit here and fucking welcome a bunch of people into my house. I don't care how I don't care how like long I've known you. But yeah, he basically welcomed all of Jace and his family, because even Jasper, after he got out of prison, he would come to Samuel's house and crash. I told Samuel that, Samuel literally was like, "Yeah, I don't care. He's my friend, and I just want to help him get back on his feet," and that's admirable. Like I admire him for that. But in all honesty, like, that's way too many people in my house. They better be paying some bills or something. And they basically all just live with them. But he tells me that they do pay bills because they all have jobs, and they do help around the house with cleaning and stuff like that. And that's all I could ask for, because at least they're not treating him like a bed and breakfast. After a while of Jace being free, he would, try and get back on his feet. He would try and work at some, he worked at a lot of fast food jobs, because, that's probably the only place that would pretty much hire ex-cons. And, he would make a lot more friends. He met Lucy, and he and Lucy were friends. Like I said in the previous video before, Lucy is another person from Berdan that, like, she's kind of similar to Rico into her being a huge 304. In all honesty, she's a way bigger 304 than fucking Rico is, but I'll save that for, let's just say, another video down the line. But yeah, he met her. He met he started getting into the local car scene. He even bought himself like a new car. He even bought himself like an older like car. He bought himself I would say a C4 Corvette, which in all honesty is badass. And he also met this person, and he's kind of important. He also met Rico, which he would end up, having a relationship with. And he told me that the that a relationship with Rico was, in all honesty, one of the worst, but one of the best and worst things that happened to him, because like his relationship with Rico was up and down. Like at first it went well, but as things went on, it soured a bit, and then Rico ended up cheating on Jace with with this guy named Hugo. He's a leader of a street racing crew called the Speed Striders, and he would end up just flat out cheating with him, or cheating on him, with Hugo, because apparently him and Hugo had a past. And it's weird. Like I said, Rico is pretty much just a 304, like just pretty much a huge 304. And obviously Jace finding that out broke his heart, and he would just spiral into a deep depression, almost getting into drugs. But the man, the legend himself, Samuel, basically said, "Fuck that! You're not doing any of that garbage." And that's a big up to Sam, because he's that friend that you need. But yeah, and then after that, a while later, he would end up getting into a relationship with a mouse, with a rat named Emil, and he's actually pretty cool as well. I actually met him like maybe one time when he was over there visiting him, and he seems like a really, really cool person. Like, I'm not gonna lie, he seems like a super cool person, and I wouldn't mind talking to him again. Like, he was super cool. But a lot of things, like a lot of other stuff happened. Like, Tito came back to town. He met Tito, and all the trauma and memories came back with him. He wanted to literally fight Tito, which I don't blame him, because that's the guy that literally got his mom addicted to drugs and pretty much ruined his entire family. So yeah, if you lay him out, that would be, very much justified. But yeah, other than that, like, Jace is a pretty outstanding person that's been through hell and back, and like, I wouldn't wish the shit that he went through on anybody, to be honest. Well, I think that's pretty much it about Jace. I think I covered all the bases, and I hope for a fact that he actually likes this video, because I think I hit everything. He's an outstanding guy. He's straight away from all of the gang nonsense. He works at a mechanic shop. He doesn't work at Rico's, but he works at another mechanic shop of a friend of his, and he actually just does so much cool shit. The same mechanic shop he works at was the same one that actually customized my car before I moved to Rios, and I just have nothing but love for him. Me and him are fucking cool as hell with each other, and that's pretty much it. I hope you guys are having a great day, and I hope you guys continue to have a great day. More content coming soon. And as always, stay pretty, my harlots.